Step 4. The fourth step in the 9 steps to, I don't know if it's 9 steps. I have 6 right now. So step 4 of 6 or 7. I think there'll be a 7th of my get shredded plan. Find a shoulder. This one's lame. I know. It's fucking lame. I hate people too. You're not alone. But it cannot be overstated because crying to someone is excellent. Having someone hear you, it validates your feelings and your experiences. It helps you remember that you're not alone. People do care about you. Not everyone is dead, okay? It's not like everyone's dead now. Just one person, probably someone very valuable and meaningful, is dead, but there's still people here. So embrace these people. Because talking about your grievances and your struggles is therapeutic, like it or not. Reminiscing about memories in your dead person memorializes them and it honors them. Don't let the fever of your bereavement allow you to bury their memory. Talk about them. Express funny shit. I know that if you loved them, they probably were good. They probably were good enough for you to love them. Your love's fucking badass, so if you're just throwing your love around, I imagine these people mean something, and they were funny, and they said funny shit, and you loved and you liked having them around. So talk about those things. Early on in this podcast, that's all I did, and I think that was part of kind of get me over some of the humps, was just getting up in here and getting misty-eyed and crying about stupid shit my brother and I did. And hanging out with him, keeping him alive. And I try to do that still today. I try to talk about him as much as I can without it being weird. People get so fucking weird about when you talk about people that are dead. I don't know what it is. I mean, I know what it is. Our experience at least in the Western world is we're sanitized death and we made it this weird, creepy thing, but it's just talk about it. And then from a selfless standpoint, if you want to be a selfless person, people love vulnerability. It makes them feel important and trusted. And friends like that. Fucking lame, but they like it. So, during COVID, I couldn't see humans. So I used this podcast as my shoulder. Along with, I did another podcast with some friends that I'd never met in person at the time. And that was something. We just would get on once a week and goof the fuck off. And it was hyper important, and this kind of goes back to step 1, which is don't put any pressure on yourself to do anything. I know that's my thing. I always feel like I'm wasting my time if I'm not doing something of value, but just kick it with your buddies. And just relax and surround yourself with people that laugh. I was during COVID and during, my grieving process, I was visiting family as often as I could, and they were kind of my crutch, and they were essential. And if and don't overuse them. If your friends get tired of hearing about that one time, you and your brother transported 500 hits of LSD 3,500 miles via your stepmom's Subaru. If they don't want to hear that story for the 100th time, get a therapist. I had a therapist during COVID. I don't really have it right now. I'm a big advocate for it, but it's fucking expensive, and I don't have the time. Classic. So I'll just burn out when I burn out. But therapy is huge. Huge, 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 huge. So talk it out. It'll help your healing. My brother and I are 2 examples of how grief can progress. After my mother died, I felt the vigor of life. I felt this new desire to want to do stuff. Whilst my brother struggled to breathe under the weight of his agony. So, dark sentence. But I relied heavily on friends, and I don't know what he did. But he didn't do it right because he's dead. So, sucks. Story for another day. Point is, have friends. Be surrounded by community. A healthy amount, not too much, not too little. Don't burden them. People like to be, if you have good friends, people want to be your friend. People want to hear you out. People want to be there for you. So, yeah. Cool. That's that step. Moving on. Alrighty. I know you didn't think this time would come, but it's coming. Okay, I know everything's been like, we've been hooting and hollering, having a good time, you know? We've been crying ourselves to sleep and playing video games, hanging out with our friends. You can't stop flipping tables. I get it. It's been fun. Step 5. Not as much fun. Not as much fun as step 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to lay it out for you straight up. Step 5 is open. Step 5 is where we pull ourselves by our bootstraps. Seriously. Okay? I know it's painful. I know you're still in pain. I know it's hard to even think about moving forward, finding meaning amongst this treachery. Okay? I get it. I've been there. I'm still there some days. And I know what you're thinking. D-Dog, that's me. There couldn't possibly be any good to come from this. How can I even move on? How can I move forward? But hear me out, just for a second. Let's go through the facts here. Here's where you're at. These are the facts of what we're dealing with. A, someone you adore, or you love, or you have loved, or whatever they are to you, they're dead. They've died. Never coming back. Period. It sucks. Bad. But we're on step 5 now, people. Okay? So I don't really feel bad anymore. my condolences, they expired in step 4, sweetie. So I love you, but it's more or less time to get on with it. So B, you probably still feel lost. You're not too sure where to go from here. And you know how I can tell that? Because you're listening to me. So burn. Burn on me. I'm burning myself there. So C, it kind of feels like it can't get any worse right now. And chances are high that it can't. Don't say that out loud, because that's when something will terribly, terribly go wrong. But at least you got this. Grieving is one of the most potent experiences we endure as these silly little flesh bags. So that's good. That's great news. Because you're actively graduating from puny little baby cow, little mare that's never seen tragedy, to now magnificent, sexy butterfly warrior that can handle the pain of 1,000 thunderstorms. So here you are. You're there now. You're in between. You're working on that. Soak that in, you beautiful, sexy caterpillar. I know you thought it was impossible, but it ain't, as we say. So knowing that, ABC, those 3 letters we learned just now, we know that information. You've gone to hell, you're back, and you're ready to fucking party. Now we got to get to work, though. We got to work on this. Moving forward, getting on with it can feel scandalous. It can feel naughty, almost like a betrayal to your LO. But unless your LO was a cunt, they would want you to get on with it. They want you to excel. They want you to thrive. They don't want to see you wallow. They don't want to see you sink and drown. Utilize this. Utilize this pain and turn it into something that they can be proud of, that you can be proud of. But if you don't want to be proud of it, because I know how it feels to attribute any sort of pride in yourself, especially when someone you love has died, do something they can be proud of. And they, selfishly, because they're selfish, I know they are, they're a human being, they want to be remembered. I know I would. Why do you think we're here? You think I'm doing this for you? Doing this because I need to leave my legacy behind on this dusty old planet. Digitally. But just because they've died, that doesn't mean that you have to let them fade. You don't have to let them go. In fact, you can even utilize them as your stepping stool into the thing that you do. But what is that thing? Where do you go? What can you do with this baloney? What will be your why? When my mother died, I was just a boy. But after a brief period of being lower than I'd ever been, I'd never felt anything like that at 15. I had a cush life, other than like the parents getting divorced. But that, relative to losing a parent is a whole other ball of wax. My whys came into abundance. It was obvious to me that the time that my mom being ripped from my pubescent life, that happened for a reason. It was there to inspire me, motivate me to change some glaring habits that I had that were present then. Suddenly, I wanted more for my life, spending my time in more meaningful and delightful ways, fostering more meaningful relationships with exciting people. I took my aspirations of being an MLG, COD, BAMF, and put them on the back burner. That's Major League Gaming, Call of Duty, badass motherfucker. For those that are out of the loop, I know a lot of people are. If you know, you know. I had to get rid of that dream because it wasn't conducive for happiness in my life presently. I was a loner that was just meandering through his teenage years, and I decided to not do that and live my life with a little more vigor. And I know we've said vigor twice now, 3 times, but it's a good word. I acknowledge that the old me died with my mother, and there was a lot of work to be done to fine-tune this young fella into the young fella that I wanted to be. I saw this moment of impact as an opportunity to rebuild, rebrand. I molted, if you were. It's raining. Sun is out. It's like full sun and it's raining right now, I think. I wanted to become that sexy butterfly warrior creature we were talking about a second ago. This was the season of metamorphosis for little tiny baby Dylan. 25-year-old Dylan, on the other hand, being freshly crushed by the death of Damien during a goofy global pandemic, a GGP, struggled a little more with finding these whys. During the time I'm what I did and accomplished, I'm happy about. I was elated that I found this medium and decided to utilize this space to mourn, because I don't really know what I would have done without it. But sticking with it and managing it and being consistent became a strain, became a pain in the fucking ass, to be honest with you. The deeper I found myself in the grief, the harder it was for me to want to come in here. And so for a while, I kind of associated this space with something I didn't want to think about, something I didn't want to deal with. I didn't want to come in here and like try to put on a smile. I mean, it's literally in the name. I felt a little bit like imposter, a little delusional during all that. I didn't want to do it. And eventually I broke. 6 months in, I was in denial. I was unable to process what the fucking Freaky Friday fuck was going on. And it got the best of me and the worst of me. I lost my job that year. Went through a breakup. Hallelujah. I had to suddenly talk to my friends with a fucking piece of fabric over their face. I was being dictated, told what to do by unknown forces. I wasn't allowed to socialize without also fabricking my face. And eventually, on top of all that, I get this haunting phone call relaying the fact that my sweet baby older brother had drank himself to death into the hospital, or at least into a coma. So yeah, it was fun. I had a lot of fun during lockdown. There was one thing after another. I was literally getting hammered, and they say bad things come in threes. I don't think that was 3. That felt more like 4 or 5. And pain was getting worse and worse. And honestly and truthfully and frankly, again, whoever Frank is, more and more reason for me to want to recluse and shrivel up and go the path that felt like the right thing, felt like the easier thing. I was helpless. I wanted to fucking die. I was like, bring it on. Fucking kill me. COVID times felt like the worst thing ever, matched with the most optimal time to grieve. I was allotted time to grieve, which doesn't happen in regular life. Thanks to unemployment, I was being compensated to grieve. I was sick. I was able to take as much time as I possibly needed to fully embrace this whirlwind of pain and heartache. And that was shitty and strangely euphoric. I couldn't imagine having to go back to work, even several months after returning from the dying Damien saga. Just having to walk him from one realm to the next was 3 weeks. That was before we even fucking had a ceremony or anything. That was just is he going to live or is he going to die? Will he, won't he? You know? It sucked. That was 3 weeks of had I not been getting unemployment, I don't know what the fuck I would have done. And then you add delusion and denial for the weeks to come after that. Those real tribulations post-death don't really start until 6 months. Things don't feel you don't feel, or it doesn't add up until half of a year. And during that time, it was everything was moving slow. So I've had run-ins at the year mark, the 2-year mark, the 3-year anniversary was crazy. So, the hardest one. 3 years after he died. That's that's a long time. And I know you know that. Good luck going back to work, putting a fucking smile on your face and being productive. Yeah, right. So my point is, anyway, we were laughing a second ago. What are we laughing about? Let me check. Oops. You got to figure out what it is you want to do with this, because if you don't, you're going to fucking suffocate and you're not going to make it. And I'm not saying you have to start a business or, start a podcast or make a bunch of money. It's if your why is go travel, do it. Go and travel. If your why is to start a bakery, if you connect with baking and you feel this is the opportunity to finally do it, fucking do it. Go and bake. This moment for you now here is the optimal moment for you to reevaluate, talk to yourself, get to know this person, this new person, and do something with it. Because if there's anything that this moment should prove to you, it's that this whole experience is short, it's finite, it's limited. You don't get another chance, as far as I know. You might, but don't let reincarnation be the reason you're oh, I'll do it in my next life. I'll do it when I come back as a dung beetle. You're not going to open up a bakery if you're a dung beetle. It's not happening. But if you did, you'd be a pretty well-off dung beetle. So take this time. You're now capable of more than you ever thought you could do. You can do anything. If you can mourn the death of your daddy or your sissy or your granny or your boyfriend or your fucking wife or your twin or even your dog. I will not be the same person after my Avigillo dog when she dies. I will have to go on a trip. My partner and I, her and I will have to go and travel for 6 months. I'm not going to want to participate in this routine life when my fucking sweet little tiny baby doggy dies. Not going to happen. And I will give that fuel purpose. So that's what we're doing here. And that's the final step. It's not the final step. We have one more step. I believe in you. The hardest shit has happened. This is the most challenging thing of this experience is living your life after someone else stopped living theirs. So if you love them and you want to make use of it, now's the time to figure out how. And I don't want to preach. I'm not trying to be mean to you right now, okay? Just know your worth. Know what you can do. You can do whatever you want. I'm proud of you. Daddy's proud. Daddy is proud. And then think about all the things. Think about Spider-Man. Think about Peter Parker. Bruce Wayne. You think those fuckers would be half the superheroes they were if they didn't experience Uncle Ben dying or Bruce Wayne's parents? I mean, come on. There's a reason we write these stories like this. Batman ain't shit for two things. He ain't shit without a tragedy. He also ain't shit without money. So he got kind of lucky. But Spider-Man, a little punk-ass kid, a little nerd, somehow managed to take Uncle Ben's death, take that, and he ran with it. And became a fucking badass. I look up to him. And this goes back Andy Garfield all the way to the beginning. Fucking 2 hours later, we're talking about Andy Garfield. One of the Peter Parkers. Okay, so this is crucial. Step 5 is crucial. Step 1 through 4 also crucial. They're a little bit more kind of like they're a little bit more passive, a little more fun. I mean, it sucks, yes, but step 5 is really where the work begins, where you have to kind of figure out what's next. And I never ask anyone to get over it, but I do ask you to get on with it. So get on with it. Love you. Okay. Wow. We've really done it on this one. This might be the longest one we've ever done. So we might crack this into 2 pieces. Okay, my points have been made. We've done 5 steps getting shredded. Step 6, you're not going to like it. Okay? I don't like it. Nobody likes it. Not a lot to like here. Step 6. The cycle repeats itself. It's a vicious cycle here, folks. Step 6, bleed. Just like step 1. Bleed again. Bleed some more. Okay? I was telling you earlier. Year 3, on the 3rd anniversary of my brother's death, I was arguably more disconnected from reality than I was 3 years prior. I don't know what that is. I've heard a lot of reasons for it. I think year 3 is kind of like, you're like, oh my fucking God, we're still doing this? He's still not coming back? You know? 6 months is one thing. You know, I remember 6 months coming through. Christmas comes around, 6 months in, and that's when everything kind of settled in and hit me, and I was like, fuck, this is hard. This sucks. I hate this. I don't want to do this. My brother's dead. What? Come on. Dude. It sucks. Big time. It's so shitty. It's awful. A year in, there's a little bit of this, you're kind of over it. Not over it, but you're over, you're past some things. You're getting back with your family or whatever, and your guys are, kind of together, and you're, remembering, and you're like, oh, my God. And for me, a year after was actually the moment, the time, a month. We took a month to go and travel and spread my brother's ashes in Colorado. So we did a road trip. It was a whole thing. So there was something really beautiful and celebratory about that. I actually really loved it. Still hard. It's all fucking hard, but it was really nice and pleasant. And we had a good time. And I palled around with my dad for the longest, continuous amount of time ever. So, in a long time. So it was amazing, And then you get through that. The next year goes by, 2 years. You're like, okay, this is me. This is what we're doing. And then something about that 3rd year is just like, God. I just was reminded. I was like, ugh. So annoying. I don't want to deal with this. So give yourself a little bit of, be patient. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself a pass because it's not going to it's just you're going to have these milestones now. Holidays are going to come around. They're going to be a little harder. Anniversaries are going to come around. They're going to be a little tougher. You're just going to feel things differently. I'm just so much different of a person than I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I mean, that's the case for everybody, but even just 2 years ago, it's painful still. I still have moments on walks when I'm playing video games, when I'm chilling here, when I'm talking to you guys. I get I'm like, fuck, man. I would just love to, you want to spend time with them. You want to hang out with them. You want to love them again. You want them to know you love them. And you want to be with them. You want to laugh and fuck around and hug and get in fights and argue, and you want to have those moments with them because it's like what it's all about. So I'm telling you, from griever to griever, it's not linear. You don't just go in it and come out of it. You're going to have days that are tougher than others. You're going to have months that are tougher than others. It's going to come up when you least expect it. And you're going to just weep in the middle of fucking Harris Teeter. That's what happens. It's the deal. It's part of the deal. I still miss my mom. I still miss my bro. I miss my bro so dearly. I think about him all the time. I love him so much. I hope he knows that. I hope he knew that. And, it's unfortunate. But this is what we do. This is what we have to do. This is what we're doing. We do this now. We are the people that do this. We are in this club, and everyone's going to be in this club at some point. Sometimes, it happens when you're 16. Sometimes it happens when you're 90. I don't know. It's just the way that it is. So, that's it. Those are the 6 steps to get shredded by Dylan. And that's it. That's all you can do. So, love you guys. I hope you're doing well. I'm sure we'll revisit the 6 steps to get shredded a little later on in my life when I come up with new steps, easier ways to get shredded. But this is just an overview of kind of my experience, how I managed things. Not always well, actually, pretty sloppily for some of it. It was pretty messy. It was unique to me, just like yours will be unique to you. Not everybody has the same thing. So, you do what you can with what you can and what you got. And I hope there's any value in what we're doing here. If there is, let me know. I need some reassurance and some, what's the word I want to say? Reassurance, acknowledgement. It's not the word. I don't know. Anyway, at any rate, that's it. We did about an hour here. Kind of crazy. We're back at it. We're working on it. We've got our heads down. And if you have any questions, or you want to participate in any way, shape, or form, I will leave an email in the information box, whatever that is. Feel free to reach out, even if it's just to say hi. This thing is about community. And that'll be that. Love y'all. Talk to you soon. Hope everybody's having a good week. And we are out of here. Thanks so much. See ya. Affirmation. The word was affirmation. That was the word I was looking for. So, affirm. I need to be affirmed. I don't need it. It's nice. Just, check in. Holler at your boy.